Hi, I'm Chas, and you're watching Chas's Crazy Creations.
I found this little table at a garage sale for just $5. The legs weren't attached, so I placed them back onto the table and tightened up all of the other legs. The sheen of whatever paint they used was shiny, so I went ahead and took a sanding block and roughed it up so I could get ready to paint it. Next, I used Crud Cutter to clean the entire piece. This would remove all the sanding I had just done, plus remove any of the other oil, dirt, debris, sticky things, anything else that was on this table so that nothing else will show up when I'm trying to paint it, because sometimes things are just hiding that you're not even aware are there. Once I had messed around with this table enough, I had decided that I wanted to sand the tabletop all the way down to the wood. This will help me match another table in the room that I've done in a previous video. Once I had that all the way done, I went ahead and cleaned it again with Crud Cutter. Next, I wanted to paint the legs and the bottom half of the table, so I used Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color white. I painted the entire base of the table, all of the legs, the feet, and the bottom with the white paint. I gave it one full coat, let it dry according to the bottle's instructions, and then gave the whole thing a second coat of paint. One of my favorite things about this paint is that it's water soluble. So it cleans off of skin easily, it cleans out of your brushes easily. It's just great and easy to work with. Once I was finished with that, I let it dry completely and I was ready to move on to the top. I used Folk Art Home Decor Wood Tint in the color Oak. I painted the entire top of the wood and the sides of the wood. Again, this is water soluble, so really easy to clean up out of your brushes. I let the paint sit for a couple of minutes, and then I came back with a dry cloth and wiped off the excess. Once I got done, I let it dry, and I decided that the wood tint was a little more orange than I wanted it to be. I brought the table inside to compare it to my other table, and wanted it to be a little bit darker. Next, I would be using Folk Art Home Decor Wood Tint in the color Walnut. And I went ahead and painted over the entire top of the table, over the top of the oak paint. I worked to get nice even brush strokes, and I went and covered the whole edges as well. I let that sit for a little bit, and then I came back with a dry cloth, and I wiped off the excess and tried to be careful to be nice and smooth with the entire table. The coloration of the oak underneath started to come through the top, and I love how it turned out. I let that dry completely, and it was time to move on to Folk Art Home Decor Varnish. I rolled the varnish, didn't shake it, as according to the bottle instructions. I started at the top of the table, working with the wood first, nice and even strokes all the way across. And then as I finished that, worked around the edges of the wood and then started from the top of the legs and worked my way down to the bottom table and then all the way down to the feet. I let that dry according to the bottle's instructions, and I gave the entire thing a second coat and then let that dry completely. Here's a quick look at the tabletop and everything else while the varnish is drying. Now I let this dry overnight before moving on to the next step, which is glazing. For the glazing process, I started with Folk Art Glazing Medium. I would also be using my paint, Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Partisan Gray. Following the instructions on the back of the glazing bottle, I mixed the two parts together. I went a little extra heavy on the glazing material, as the glaze is what helps give you the time that you need to work on the project. The more paint, the faster it dries, the less paint, the longer you have to work with it. You start this process by painting the glaze, and you can paint the entire leg, but you want to work in small areas. I was primarily focusing on the indents and creases in this project to emphasize the indents and bring out the dimension. Once you have the glaze on, you can take a wipe. I used a baby wipe, but you can use a damp cloth, and you just wipe around to remove the part you don't want, leaving the glaze into the creases, which is what I was going for. I can also fine tune it and make more or less be on the piece. Now I could add glaze to the entire thing if I wanted, but I went ahead and just focused on these little indents. So I went around the entire thing and did all of these, and now I need to let that dry. I hope this inspires you to repurpose and upcycle. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel and my blog at chascrazycreations.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.